Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck. If you know me and you know my content, you also know I write books. So what are Nicholeen Peck books? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Many people don't know this, but I have written 11 books of my own. I've also done some partner writing with some other people where I've collaborated with other authors and thought leaders in the field of parenting and family, and I have done other books there. I've also collaborated in books on education as well. But in this video, I'm going to be talking primarily about the 11 books that I've written, and I want to share with you who these books are for, what's in these books, and the best ways that you can use them. Years ago, when people started asking me if I would teach parenting stuff, I said sure, because I like speaking. In fact, I was raised by a public speaker, and that was no problem to speak to people publicly. But then after I would speak to them, they would say, okay, so where's your book? Well, I never really saw myself as a writer. That's funny to say after I've written as many articles and books and things as I have now, because I definitely see myself as a writer now, but that has been something that has grown over time. So the first book I started working on way back in the day was this book, Parenting a House United. Now, this is the second edition of this book. I had a first edition of this book, which I will tell you had more grammatical problems because, well, I never planned on being a writer, right? And even though I had it edited 6 times, there were still some issues that maybe they felt like were beyond repair because I wasn't as good of a writer, but people felt like it spoke to them. They felt like it was a book for parents instead of a book for academics. And that's definitely what I wanted it to be like. And so even though it wasn't the very best written version of the book, which this one is, I'm very happy about, it was definitely a step in a good direction. It sold over 50,000 copies, which is a ton of books. And so we knew that it was filling the bill. It was what people needed, but I was never fully happy with it. In fact, for years, people kept asking me, Nicholeen, when are you going to do an audiobook? And I knew I didn't want to do an audiobook on that book. And so I had to make a second edition. So this is the second edition. Basically, it's like a rewrite. I mean, it's like I wrote the book twice, actually, but this is much better. And it is the most popular book that I sell. Absolutely. A lot of people call this like the Bible of teaching self-government, teaching styles, and with all of the parenting things. It's got all the skills in it. It teaches you how to correct the problems, how to have the family meetings, all those kinds of things you can find in here. It is not a light read. It's easy. The words are easy. Again, I didn't write it for academics. I wrote it for parents to use in their day-to-day life, but there's a lot in it. There's a lot of meat. So some people call it the Bible of parenting, that they go to again and again. And people will definitely refer back to it repeatedly. Some people like to take my course, like my online course or my in-person trainings, and then they use the book to go through after that for reference and to fine-tune some things. So there's different ways that you can use this book. Who is this book for? Well, this book is definitely for the parents, but you know what I found is that many parents have their children read the book too. So why would you have your child read a book about parenting? That doesn't seem to make very much sense. Well, of course it does. They're going to be parents one day, and if you fully understand what I teach about self-government, then you know that self-government is not about surprises or tricks or strategies that you use on your children to get them to comply, but it's about principles and about skill development and about predictability and deliberate planning and action. So why not teach your child absolutely everything that you're learning about parenting? There doesn't have to be a mystery or a secret to parenting. If it's truly honest, principled parenting, the children should know everything you're going to do and why. In fact, that's one of the reasons that my children can teach all over the world, is because they know everything in that book. In fact, I remember when my oldest daughter, Paige, when she read the book, she was about 13, and she said, "Mom, this is very interesting." She's like, "Now I understand even better why we do all the things we do in our family, and I love reading stories about myself." So you definitely can have the children read it too, but it is primarily intended for the parents. The next book that I'd like to talk about is this one, Popular Parenting Methods. Are they really working? All of the popular parenting methods that we see around us? Well, that's what this book talks about. This book, again, was intended for parents. In fact, it was meant to be a type of self-analysis book where a parent could see, oh, this is what I'm doing, and this is probably why I'm doing it. These are the results I'm getting, but that's not really what I wanted in the beginning. So this is what I need to switch to. It helps uncover some of the problems you might be experiencing in your parenting and your relationships, and then it helps you see the way forward. It is one of the best books to start with at the very beginning to get husband and wife on the same page in their parenting and seeing why they both need to make changes together. But children can read this book too. In fact, it's very eye-opening for a family to have all read this book and be able to discuss the concepts and the principles that are taught there. The children can say, "Oh yeah, I've noticed, Mom or Dad, that you have done that in the parenting." And then you can say, "I know, I've noticed it too. So now we know we've got to go toward this direction." In fact, it can really help children get on the same page. I would think older children are probably more likely to enjoy it, but children can read it. I haven't just written books for parents. I've also written books for children. In fact, sometimes some of the parents say that their favorite books are these, my children's books. So there are some parents that will read these children's books to their children daily. There was a dad that came up to me a few years ago at a conference and he said, "Nicholeen, I haven't even read your Parenting a House United book yet. I'm going to. I know I need to because I need the skills in it for how to solve the problems. But I read these books to my children every day on my lunch break, and my children's behaviors have transformed. In fact, I'm even becoming a better parent for having read these books." So what are these children's books? They each teach the 4 basic skills. So there are 4 basic skills that I teach for learning self-government, and they are following instructions, accepting no answers, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. The children's books are also very useful in teaching the skills to children the first time. So the first time you teach them, you might read them the story first, act out what happened in the story, and then use those skills is a part of a role play practice for learning the skill that is taught in the book. Of course, they're also going to reinforce those skills again and again in a really great way where the children see what their negative behaviors actually look like to other people, which is a great way for them to have some analysis, which is key in learning self-government. Before I get to talking about the rest of my books, I want to know if you've read some of my books before. Is there a book of mine that is your favorite or has been helpful to you? Put that in the comments below. And if there are any books that you would like me to write that you feel like would be incredibly helpful or add to the books or the courses that I already have, then let me know that in the comments too. So I have 4 books that are really more like journals. They're for practical day-to-day use. These 4 journals each teach one of the key principles of self-government. So the first book is the Family Meeting Journal. So in the Family Meeting Journal, it gives some direction on how to conduct really good family meetings, but it also gives you the forms that you need to keep your family meetings organized. This book is going to be used at least once a week by a family who is learning to take responsibility for their own behaviors and to improve their unity and relationships as a family group. Everybody gets a chance to conduct the family meeting, so truly every person in the family will have the opportunity to write in the Family Meeting Journal. This is the couples meeting journal. And like the family meeting journal, it has outlines inside that couples can follow as they are preparing for each week and for the teaching and the interactions that they want to have with their children. I know that it says couples meeting journal, but actually a person who is a single parent could also use this couples meeting journal in order to better prepare for positive interactions with their family throughout the week and to get their schedule and stuff prepared as well. Husband and wife both use the couple meeting journal. And if you're single, you can also use the couples meeting journal with a trusted friend or just by yourself. The couples meeting journal is basically the history of some of your most important conversations that you have or things you think about related to your family. The Mentor Meeting Journal is a book that parents use with their children in the one-on-one mentor meetings. This journal has the forms in it that you would fill out on a weekly basis with your child to help them motivate themselves to accomplish their goals and to better improve their self-government. Parents and children can both write in the Mentor Meeting Journal. It just depends on who wants to be the writing person for that particular meeting. Oftentimes it's parents that write in the journal, but what the children do is they refer back to that journal on a regular basis. In fact, almost every day throughout the week, my children are looking at their journal and thinking, what goals did I set for the week? So that then they can work on those goals each day and make sure that they accomplish some of them weekly. This journal is different than all of the other journals. You can see that it's called S.O.D.A.S. What a funny name for a journal. This is an acronym that stands for Situation, Options, Disadvantages, Advantages, Solution. So this particular journal is meant to help a person learn problem-solving skills. There's a format that a person goes through to help them solve their problems. We use this format with the children when they have made a bad decision and they maybe don't know that they had other options, when the family's trying to make a difficult decision together as a group, maybe when children have argued with each other and they don't see a way to move forward. There's many different ways that we can use these S.O.D.A.S exercises. But what we found is that parents who do use the S.O.D.A.S journal and do these S.O.D.A.S exercises with their children report their children's maturity level growing and their ability to problem solve independently increases. So this is a great thing. Parents and children can use this journal in order to improve their outcomes and increase their self-government abilities. This book is the roles book. Now, I wrote this book because the Parenting a House United book was written with the assumption that everybody understood their roles in the family, who each other really was and that identity that they had within the family unit. And what I recognized after years of teaching self-government was that this knowledge that I thought was common knowledge was not actually that common. The roles book is a story of a family, the Justice family, and they have 4 children between the ages of 8 and 18. The Justice family has some dysfunction, mild dysfunction that you might see in just about any home, like children wanting to be on their digital devices, not wanting to help out, being slightly entitled, the parents aren't on the same page with their parenting, and people have some overall frustration and emotional outbursts that happen from time to time. We see how the Justice family learns their roles, how they learn vital skills that they need for communication, and how they get on the same page with their family going forward as a unified group by learning self-government. This is a great story to read together as a family and discuss, or many parents will read it themselves and then have discussions with their children like the Justice family had, so that they can actually duplicate the outcomes that the Justice family had as well in the book. Now, I do sell this book to a lot of youth groups. People will order it in bulk because actually it's been proven that even though I didn't write it for the youth, that when youth read this book, they feel very empowered to change things in their family themselves, starting with themselves. So this book is a great read for youth, young adults, parents, people of all ages. It's going to help you with your family relationships, but also with other social relationships and with your business relationships as well. That was 11 books that we just went through. That was a lot. But you know what? I have even more things than books. This is cue cards. I've got audios, courses, classes, so many different things that you can use to access some of the teaching that I have. So the best place that you can go to find out more about these books, about my courses, audios, podcasts, stuff like that, is to go to teachingselfgovernment.com and find those things there that you need for your self-government and for your family. And I've got a little tip for you. So they're also for sale on Amazon and stuff like that, but they are way cheaper on the Teaching Self-Government website. So if you want a better price, then definitely go to teachingselfgovernment.com. We'll see you there.